In this tutorial, we're taking a look at dynamic EQ. There are times when neither EQ nor compression alone can deliver the shaping we require. Dynamic EQ is a focused process that combines EQ with compression or expansion, allowing us to make frequency-specific threshold-dependent changes. This is an incredibly powerful concept, as it means you're only processing the target frequencies when they reach a certain threshold. The rest of the time your signal is unchanged. Originally found in quite focused frequency-specific dynamic processors such as de-essers, over time the remit of these processors has widened with more accurate control over sidechain and target frequencies and both downward and upward processing. In the software domain, the result is a processor that looks a lot like a regular EQ, but is supercharged with additional dynamic functionality. And this provides a more focused solution than a multi-band compressor, which is better for broader adjustments. As ever, software developers love a challenge, and the latest take on dynamic EQ are plugins that automatically target troublesome or resonant frequencies, leaving you with the much simpler task of adjusting the depth. Let's take a look at a couple of examples and show you how they work. Dynamic EQ plugins are widely available and vary in their complexity. Here we're using a freebie, Nova by Tokyo Dawn Records, and this has a typical dynamic EQ feature set. In many respects, it looks like a regular EQ, and can be used as such either from the band controls or directly within the graphic display. However, it also includes global and band-specific dynamic control, and it's the latter that interests us. We've activated just one band and switched on dynamic mode using the threshold button. We want to tighten the kick at around 150 Hz without influencing the snare in our blended loop. Choosing a peak shape with quite narrow Q, we set the ratio to 4:1 and adjusted the threshold to achieve about 6 dB of gain reduction. Then we've selected a faster release to about 20 milliseconds. Although we typically use dynamic EQ to compress, many of these processors also include upward expansion. This results in a boost to specific frequencies at the set threshold. On this plugin, this is achieved simply by selecting a ratio lower than 1:1, sticking with our existing settings, adjusting the ratio to the minimum setting, 0.5:1, achieves a frequency-specific boost when the threshold is exceeded. We often use dynamic EQ to remove harshness, and although it's perfectly feasible to carry on using a manual design for this, actually focusing on multiple problem areas can get fiddly. There are now some great intelligent options available, and we've loaded up Soothe 2 from Oak Sound. These plugins vary in their capabilities and operation. However, they all offer some form of automatic frequency detection coupled with manual threshold selection. This plugin is different to the dynamic EQ we just used, as here the bands are used to specify and emphasize the area that will be processed. We've loaded the preset Soften Digital Tops, and you can see it uses a low cut at about 3 kHz and two bands, red and purple, to shape a focus area between about 3K and 18K. We can of course adjust this to taste. To control the suppression, we have 4 key parameters, and all 4 influence the real-time analyzer display. Depth adjusts the amount of processing. Sharpness adjusts the frequency precision. And selectivity adjusts how choosy it is. Finally, there's also an aggressiveness mode, soft or hard. Here, as we increase the sharpness control, suppression is deeper and narrower. And as we increase selectivity, fewer frequencies are being processed.